through that, there were many conversations that I had candidly where I put my studio owner hat on and thought, ooh, if this was, if this was the group that was joining our team or joining like our HQ, I don't know how I would feel about that. Or this would feel like a big culture shift, or, really aggressive growth targets that I had a fear of would have a negative effect on our brand.
In today's episode, learn about true leadership skills that can take your fitness business to the next level. Welcome to Top Rated Gym Podcast, the podcast that helps ambitious gym owners build profitable and sustainable fitness businesses. I'm your host, Andres Vjovic, and with every episode we deliver actionable insights, expert advice, and success stories to help you grow your membership, streamline your operations, and achieve financial stability, even if you struggled with marketing challenges, operational overwhelm, or financial limitations in the past. Today's guest is Emily Drouillard, the CEO of Modo Yoga International. With her extensive background as a studio owner, marketer, and now CEO, Emily has led Modo Yoga International expansion and growth, bringing community-driven approach to the world of hot yoga. Under her leadership, Modo Yoga has grown to over 46 territories sold and 38 operational studios across Canada, US, and France, with more exciting development ahead. Let's dive into her journey and the leadership lessons she learned along the way. Emily, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Emily, so you worked pretty much at every level at Modo Yoga, from starting at the bottom of the chain in the beginning roles all the way to running an international organization. So tell us, how has that hands-on experience shaped your leadership style and pretty much your approach to scaling the businesses?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, as you said, I've every facet of the business I've had a part of. Going back to 2011, when I first stepped foot into a Modo Yoga studio, and I was instantly hooked. Each of our studios had something called either the Energy Exchange Program. Some studios call it the Ambassador Program, but essentially it's a way to get involved, to lend a hand to support the operations of the studio in exchange for utilizing the classes and getting to be a greater part of the community. So that's kind of where I dipped my toe into the Modo community. And from there quickly decided that I wanted to be a part of it in a greater capacity. I had a background in teaching fitness, and joining the Modo system or being a part of my first Modo class, it just felt like something so different than I had experienced before. There was the shift away from that like push to just truly listening to your body and moving it in a way that feels intuitive and mindful. So fast forward to, I took the Modo teacher training. I actually took it alongside my mom. And during the training, I actually had the opportunity to become part of the ownership structure at my home studio, which is based just about an hour west of Toronto, Ontario. So dove into that world of owner-operator, and now sitting in the role of CEO, I truly do feel it has been such an asset to be at, like you said, every different level of the organization. Within our community, we really don't look at it as a like tiered system, but that fundamental knowledge of knowing, everything from how do we fold the towels to greeting a customer on the way in, to having the conversation with, the student who had maybe a less than ideal experience at the studio, to the back end operations. I think knowing each of those different structures, knowing the upsides and also the pain points, truly has allowed me to speak to the totality of our business and how we operate.
I love that. And let me ask you a question pretty much about feedback of that system. Would you recommend that as approach for somebody to go through the process like you did, all the way through the whole organization and understanding each aspect of the business?
Yeah, I don't think that they necessarily need to do it in the format that I did. We have many very strong and successful owners that have come in without having been a part of, say, the ambassador program or the teacher training. But I do think it's so crucial to, regardless of where your entry point is into the Modo community, is having that understanding and that grasp of each different facet of the organization. We don't require our studio owners to take the teacher training, but I think it's such a fundamental part of understanding our business. Like, it truly is the service and the product that we are selling as our classes. And even if a studio owner doesn't intend to teach, I think it's just so imperative for them to have that knowledge of who we are as an organization. What are we delivering to our clients, our students, to just have a full understanding to be able to speak to that.
Let me tell you, that reminds me on one of the most effective operations in the world, factories, and that's Toyota. See, Toyota makes 15% of the world cars. Literally, every sixth car is Toyota. And they have like 300,000 employees. While Volkswagen makes 11%. Every one of 9 cars there. And they have twice as many employees. So they make less cars with twice as many employees. And the reason is that Toyota requires everybody, as they start, to go in and understand different roles. And they will literally give them a piece of paper and a stopwatch. It's like, okay, go to that role, monitor, observe, and look for the ways to optimize it. If you don't come up with the ways to optimize it, you're not moving forward. Mm-hmm. And they will measure everything that from the waste to the efficiency of each process. But understanding different roles, different positions gives you a different picture. You know, I believe now you are in the position when somebody says, oh, I can't do that, or that takes 6 hours to do for something you know that's 2 hours. You don't take that crap, right?
No, absolutely. I totally agree. Like, I think being able to, even from a level of being an owner and speaking to your manager, knowing what they're doing, having an understanding and a grasp of what's involved in the process. Like you said, you don't have to be the one necessarily doing it, or you don't have to be the one who all that knowledge just lives in your head. I think it's actually more important to have a team that is skilled and able to deliver on their responsibilities. But for you as an owner to be able to sit in the seat and know the processes that go into it, understand, the time it takes to run those reports, or the time it takes to have that connection with the student, or what is a safe practice to deliver or safe posture to deliver. It's just so important to have that type of knowledge. And you can
we go into
example,
for example?
Yeah.
So something that happens that you can say, okay, if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't be able to act like this.
I think, the most top of mind example that comes to me is that hard interaction with the student. So a student has an experience in class, say a teacher said something that they didn't like, or there was a modification given that didn't align with them. Having taken the teacher training, you can see both sides of it. You can see objectively from where the student sits as well as where the teacher sits, and the ability to give the feedback from kind of like a bird's eye view of it, where I think if you don't have that knowledge of the background of the why behind our sequencing or the why behind the anatomy, you're really only able to speak from the experience of the student side. So that's one example. I would also say with things like running your KPI and your metrics, if you as the owner don't know how to go out and gather that type of information, how can you ensure that what your manager is presenting to you, or if you're using a third-party services, we have integrated KPIs that are delivered directly to our studio owners. But how can you, if you don't know how to run that information and check it yourself, how can you ensure that it's adequate or correct?
We'll talk about the KPI in a second. I'm glad you brought this topic. When you took a position as a CEO, did you take what was culture and leadership style of the organization, or did you brought your own spin to it?
So I transitioned into this role back in 2021, and at the time, part of the focus of my role was finding investment into our company. So looking for a different group to kind of bring business experience to help take our community to the next level. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary last year, and we got to a place where it truly came from organic growth. And our founders, Ted and Jess, early on when I came in, part of the conversation is like, how do we bring this community to a greater reach? And part of that was bringing in more skilled strategic knowledge and background at a top level. So over the last couple of years, focus had been on finding the right fit to join our organization and grow it. And our company, majority of our company was acquired back at the end of 2023. So there has been a good portion of my time sitting in this seat is taking where we came from, our 20 years of building who we are as a community, and then pairing it with this kind of external guidance coming in of people who have strong expertise in different backgrounds, be it e-com sales, franchising, legal, accounting, and applying that all so that we can ensure that what we are offering is not only franchisee friendly, but it's growth focused, but in a really strategic and thoughtful way. So it's kind of been that marriage of looking at old systems and adapting them and evolving them so that we have a better experience for our studio owners, and a more clear roadmap of where we want to be.
So if I understand correctly, were you the one who facilitated Modo Yoga's acquisition?
I played a role in facilitating the acquisition alongside our founders, Ted and Jess.
Awesome. And what would you say, I mean, the purpose of every business is income, right? We are all in the business to do what we are passionate about, but also provide financials for stability for us, for families, and for people we are working with. And a lot of businesses don't think about exit or being purchased, bought, acquired, and getting investors to join the forces and putting money on the table and putting the gas on the pedal and growing even further. Small number of companies first think about that, and even smaller accomplish that. Kudos to you guys. I wanna get from your opinion, what are some key strategies you use to secure investment and get investors on board?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I had owned 2 Modo studios. I've spent more than a decade being a part of this community. So ensuring that whoever came into this to be a part of our greater system felt aligned with our brand was imperative to myself. I wanted to make sure that they were a fit and had the best interest of our studio owners in mind, and our teachers and our community. So that was a big part, number one for me, was finding somebody who was a right fit for our culture, aligned with our vision. And I think that was a big fear on the side of studio owners when we did announce it, of, who is this group? And change is always hard, regardless. There's always the unknown and the uncertainty of it. So that was a really important thing for myself. I always go back to the thought of do well so that we can do good in the world. And our studios, like you said, the financial stability is such an important aspect for our studio owners. So from where I sit, I take great responsibility in ensuring that at Modo International, we're supporting our studio owners so that they can continue to grow within the community, whether that's investing in more locations or building their studio footprint. And I think that comes into play where you need to have resources available for you that are focused on growth, that are focused on getting the brand exposure out there. One of our big focuses right now for 2025 into 2026 is growing in the US markets. So how do we do that? How do we utilize the brand exposure we have and get into markets where there's huge opportunity?
And I want to ask you a question. What is great thing of having investor on board? What would you say it helps the brand?
Yeah, there's so many different facets that make up having making sure it's a strong partnership. Like I had said, being aligned on what your goals are is so important from the get-go. Where I have found in the seat working alongside our board for the little over a year now is just the benefit of having external knowledge coming in. I think sometimes just being a part of the system, we see the day-to-day, we can see the cogs and the things that kind of get stuck in the way, or we can come up with reasons as to why. Whereas external guidance coming in, kind of looking from a more objective view, can see different things, doesn't necessarily see the roadblocks that we implement or see. Yep. So I think that's been a big one. And with the group of investors that joined us, it was very strategic on how what kind of benefits they could bring to our organization. So it wasn't simply, you want to put some money in.
So it's not just the money, it's smart money.
Exactly. It's smart money. Exactly. I love that. It's looking for people who have a professional experience and success in different key assets that we looked at to our business to say, okay, this area of opportunity, if we can bring this type of knowledge to it, we can help grow online, or we can help grow the retail system of it, or we can help grow the teacher training and education portion of it.
I love that. And what I like about investors being part of the story is accountability. You see, you have somebody to show the numbers to. And that gives you different perspective. That gives you more a different outlook. Because when you're founder of the company, if you're CEO, if you don't have anybody to show your books, it's like, I can do anything I want, right? But this way, somebody look at those numbers and look at it from different angle, with fresh set of eyes. It was like, okay, have you considered this? Also, if that investor, partner, mentor, it's also an industry expert and knows the numbers of other businesses, can tell you if you're doing good, bad, and what else can you do to speed up and change it. So there's something that comes with the mentorship. And I love the fact of smart money. If there's money coming in, money is, honestly, I believe it's abundance out there. There's so many wrong ways to raise the money and get partners in that can totally sidetrack your business into the world you don't want to be. It's like a marriage. If it's wrong, it can be a nightmare. But if it's good, I loved what you said, cultural fit. You gotta align with what we already do and push us forward. Don't sidetrack us. Don't bring a culture that's totally opposite to what we do. Because
I completely agree. Yeah. I sat on, it was a process. It was probably about almost 2 years, the process of, that directive of, looking for investment into the business and actually finding the right fit. And through that, there were many conversations that I had candidly where I put my studio owner hat on and thought, ooh, if this was the group that was joining our team or joining like our HQ, I don't know how I would feel about that, or this would feel like a big culture shift, or, really aggressive growth targets that I had a fear of would have a negative effect on our brand. So yeah, there is like the kiss a lot of frogs before you find the prince kind of thing of getting to the people who truly felt like a great fit for our community. And looking over this past
right.
year.
And it's a lot of conversation. It's such a diligent and long process to make that happen the right way, if you want to do it right way.
Absolutely.
But I love the fact, because a lot of people are thinking like, oh, I have a business, it's income making opportunity or stress making opportunity. But when you start positioning your business for the investor's eyes, you gotta start cleaning a lot of stuff in a business. You clean up the books, you structure them the way that people like to be structured, you bring transparency. A lot of business owners mix their private expenses with the business expenses. That cannot exist in a world of proper P&L and the structure that you show to the investor. So it's really structurizing. It's a growing up moment for the business where you're ripping off the skin of something called startup and becomes a real business. Like gotta show up in a real way and continue with it.
And we've actually, we did that practice at our international HQ level, but we've also had this conversation and have done this coaching at our studio owner level as well, of like, from like planning your exit, whether that's something that you want to happen in 2 years, 5 years, maybe never. It should always be top of your mind of, what steps do you need to take at which points to prepare yourself for a successful exit. And I do think that is something that has set our community up for success. We have owners that have been a part of this community for over a decade, some approaching 20 years. And at some point, you do want to walk off into the sunset and go just like join a little bit, reap the benefits of the work you've put in. So
that's right.
One thing that I don't take lightly is ensuring that they're also supported so that we can help facilitate them into that next chapter. And that also creates opportunity for somebody else who's, fresh and ready to come in right off the get-go to benefit from a system that is 20 years old, that, the owner has been through the pain points and the successes to get the business to where it is.
So from somebody who's looking into this topic, and let's say I want to sell my yoga studio. I have choices. I can sell it to a competitor, to a bigger company acquisition. I can sell it to a totally new person, maybe my member, maybe my manager or director. I can sell it to a private equity firm and so on. But it really depends. A sale can be it can vary from, it's all usually connected to EBITDA, how profitable your business is.
Yeah.
And it's not only profitability, it's many other factors. So if the business owner knows what investor is looking at, it can start tracking, measuring, and improving those metrics way ahead.
Absolutely.
Right? And position yourself for a better success. So how do you, let's say you recommend somebody to look into this in the future, like 5 years from now, I want to sell the business. What would you do today if you're the one preparing your exit in 5 years?
Yeah. So what you had mentioned of like getting your books in order, your P&L in order, I think is such an important first thing. Many studio owners and business owners in general, not solely just to the health and wellness or yoga sector, but do use the benefit of their business to help with different expenses in their life. You're traveling and you also hit up likes business too, and you write it off as an expense, or you go on a retreat and you write that off as an expense. I think one of the first things to do is, if you are looking down the barrel of looking for acquisition or selling your business in the next year to 2 years, is cleaning that up, not writing off as many things through your business as you might have before, to show a really positive income place. I think that's the first one. Also, just ensuring your system, your CRM, and the back end of your business is cleaned up, that if you were to transition it over to somebody else, that they wouldn't be coming in having to decode everything. That is a big thing. We as being part of a greater system of studios, we benefit from the ease of an exit. So we facilitate on the onboarding, but a lot of times if it is an independent studio selling off their location, owner walks away off into the sunset, new owner steps in, something that might have felt so like using your left hand for an owner, for somebody who doesn't have the background and experience, it can be a really big learning curve of how do you take these systems and actually continue to have them run.
How do you even communicate that change?
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Oof. It's a huge thing. And, I think there's always the exiting owner on a sale will always say, we'll be here to support you through the exit. But that only also goes so far. Eventually, they have either other opportunities arise or like they carry on. So that is one part of the benefit of being part of a system like Modo Yoga, a franchise system, where owner steps out, but the overall arching system stays there. So you can lean on the previous owner for a certain amount of time. But as far as continuing to grow the business forward and understanding the operational sides of things, that's where we have your back and we're there to step in and support.
I love that. And I hope everybody who's listening getting this as idea and a value, and asking yourself, like, what is my exit strategy? Right? What is my future look like? How far I'm going to do this? How long I'm going to do this? For somebody is lifetime calling. But even if it's lifetime calling, there's always cash out moment. And everybody should be planning on that. Right? If you go to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, it's all about planning for the exit. And turning that into cash, a lifetime stream of income. What would you say? What would you love to see in, let's say, 10 years from now for Modo Yoga? Like, it's 2035. What would make you happy?
Oh, I love that. We've looked at our 5-year goals. As far as 10-year goals, I'm just going to go ahead and double it. A big thing of our goal for the next 5 years is to get our footprint to 100 locations. Again, that's one thing I loved about the team that joined us, is they didn't come in being like 50 locations a year and in every single market. It's strategic growth in markets that can support a franchisee and help build our system. So looking forward to 2035, was that the year we said?
Yes.
I would really love to see us, have a strong presence in every medium to large size market in the US. We've got a really good grip on Canada. I think there's a couple more markets available, but really, really have a profound impact in the States. And then continue to expand our growth into Europe. we have the single location in France, but I would really just love to expand beyond that point. And I think also being at a place where every one of those studio owners feels that do well to do good mentality of their businesses are lucrative, they're able to adapt a certain lifestyle, and that while also knowing that the work they're doing has a huge impact. That's something that was so important to me when I was sitting in this role as studio owner. Is I was always so humbled by the experience of a student coming out of class. You have no idea what people are showing up with, and they come out saying, like, I had the hardest day, or I'm really struggling with this, and like that 60 minutes landing on my mat was so impactful, or like this was the one time today that I felt peace or ease. And I think especially now, like in the world that we live in, it's such a rare opportunity to just find not only that sense of like ease and peace, but that sense of community connection that I think can truly only happen in person. Like, as great as it is for you and I having this call online, there's a certain level of connection that I think we really took for granted, and the pandemic really shone a light on, of how much we need that in-person human interaction, the value of the teacher knowing the name of the students coming into their classes, building that relationship. So looking to 2035, my hope is that our community grows, our studio owners feel truly supported, our teachers feel deeply connected with our students, and we continue just to have this amazing impact that we've had over the last 20 years.
And I believe that's never going to be changed. Honestly, even if I'm looking at the AI coming in and replacing a lot of human intelligent aspect of the jobs and everything, but the reason why we go to certain local businesses is about experience.
Absolutely.
Right. You don't go to a restaurant just to eat food. You go for experience. You go for conversation. You go for connection. You go for a moment of different element. And that's the same thing as a workout. We are not only feeding our muscles, we are feeding our brain, or relaxing in both sides. It's a different world, and it's going to stay like that. And it's going to be even more important. Handcraft things and in-person experience will get even more value when the AI takes over.
Yeah.
So we got to think about that, especially in the yoga world, where it's like totally connection-minded spirit in a way that no other fitness delivers.
I completely agree. And I think it's one of those, I've had many conversations where people are like, oh, do you feel like, like the online world of yoga, like it's having such a growth? And we have an online offering, Modo Yoga Online, and it's a great kind of, I look at it as like that side door, that additional opportunities to land on your mat. But really, there's nothing that can replicate that in-person interaction you have. Our teachers, they truly care about their students, and it's that even simple interaction of, hey, how's your day going, when someone comes into the studio at the front desk, or the acknowledging of someone's 500th, 1000th, 2000th class, like that type of in-person connection. It's being lost in the world we're living in, but I think people are really realizing the importance and the need for it now more than ever.
That's right. I agree 100%. Earlier you mentioned something about KPIs, and I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. What are as a CEO of the company, you look at the different KPIs now as when you were manager or the owner? So can you share with us what is the important metrics that you're looking on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis? Like, what do you look into it today as your role as CEO?
KPIs to me are such an important and integral part of truly knowing your business. We actually in the past year invested in building out our own custom KPI dashboard for our studio owners, so that they can easily, every Monday, they get an email into their inbox that has important KPIs: first visit retention, membership churn, the utilization of a studio, where teachers are sitting. And I think this is, from a business point of view, obviously so important. You want to know the heartbeat of your business, and data doesn't lie. There's no hiding behind feel with it. So I think KPIs are really important for looking back and seeing trends over time. But something at an international level, especially from where I sit, that I think is an important pairing with the KPI is the forecasting forward. So as great as it is to look at the trending 12 months or the past 90 days, I think it's so important to take that number and then also look to what are we forecasting for the next month? Not even just from revenue, but what are we forecasting for new first visits or new clients into a studio? And where we're sitting in these past 30 days of KPIs, does that metric support us getting to where we want to go? And if it doesn't, by having that forecast to look forward to, you can pause and say, okay, we're not tracking towards where we need to be. What can we do? How can we get more exposure into our studios? How can we have more people visiting our online retail store? So I think it's the importance, that pairing of KPIs to look back at what the data is. But that crucial part that I think is often missed is that looking forward, forecasting to get to where you're wanting to go.
Exactly. So this is like you're setting up the goal for the future. I want to be X number of members. I'm currently at 200. I want to be at 300. I have a year to accomplish that. I need to net 9 members every month to get there. Am I doing it? So I'm forecasting 9, but I'm also checking up, am I doing it? And if I don't, what can I do to make it happen? What's going on? Where the resources I can put on the table? Is it leads? Is it conversion? Is it retention? What's going on? Because if we don't look at the numbers, we will never succeed. It's like flying a plane without cockpit, without knowing how far are you from the destination and hoping you'll get there. That doesn't work. Nobody wants to be in that plane. And most of the business owners are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think it's I think especially in the health and wellness world, setting goals, setting intentions is so second nature to us. Yeah. But sometimes setting these the business goals doesn't come naturally, or you say something like, I'm at 250 members, but I want to be to 350 members by the end of the year. And that feels like such a big number, a big jump. But then when you can do a work back and you can say, okay, if that's 100 members and I have 6 months, when I break that down monthly, how many new members does that mean I need to bring into my community? And I think once you can start to break it down in that way, it doesn't feel so such a daunting number. It feels achievable. It feels maintainable. With our goal of getting to 100.
When you see somebody else completed it, it's like
totally.
They did it, I can do it.
100%. 100%. Our goal of getting to 100 locations by 2029, it's not insane, but when you break it down, you're like, okay, 9 locations a year. We have so many strong leads coming in. I sit in a place where we've already approved 6 locations in 2025. I feel like once you can kind of boil it down to a different level, it just doesn't feel nearly as daunting.
I agree. This is such an important part of the business, keeping track, setting goals, working towards the goals, and reading them correctly and acting on them. And not only you, but the whole team has to be involved in looking those numbers. Like you said, you send email to everybody. Hey, everybody has to see their numbers. If you see numbers and then you don't share with them, who cares? No. They don't know. Right? I always said the biggest problems in life, in a health, in a business are those we don't know we have. Right? The worst disease is the one that is eating you and you don't even know you have it. That's the same in a business. If your KPIs are wrong and you don't read them and don't understand them,
absolutely,
it's a gorilla eating your business. So I love that part as well. Now, I wanna ask you this: advice for somebody who is looking to grow the business, especially in the franchise world. There's a lot of people stuck at 2, 3 locations, 5, and they cannot break 20, and it seems impossible mission. And you guys are working diligently to grow that. You know a lot about it, and this podcast is very sure to transfer all your knowledge and experience from last 2 decades. So I would like to ask you, what is the resource, books, conferences, seminars, podcasts, something you would recommend other business owners, other yogis to go and read, listen, enjoy, or learn from?
I mean, I'm a big podcast lover. I think that there's How I Built This is a podcast that I really love, and it's with Guy Raz, and it just speaks to many diverse kind of business offerings and how they got to this point of success. So I think that's an important one. I think from a studio owner level or even a franchisee system that's smaller is looking at your business. If you're wanting to scale it, how easy or how easy can you replicate this system? One of the directions that I've been given by the board of directors for Modo is, how can we make this a business in a box? And that's not from the place of like removing the sense of community or culture, but it's the complete opposite. It's like, how can we make this a system that can be applied so that the owner is not having to spend their time being like, okay, how do I build out a website domain? Okay, how do I increase my SEO? Okay, how do I create my KPI spreadsheets? We provide all that so that they can say, how can I focus on finding more connection in my community? How can I ensure my teachers are feeling connected and fulfilled? And that's the service and that's the product that we're delivering. How can I ensure that this is truly a balanced lifestyle, that I'm not working so much in my business that I don't have the opportunity to work on my business? So I think that's an important thing if there is that growth mindset in mind of like, what can I do? How can I build out SOPs so that each different system of my business can be replicated to 20 locations, 30 locations, 100 locations.
So to summarize, look at what's already existing, template. Do not reinvent the wheel. Use the process that's already there. And if you know the process that's not documented, document it. Put it on paper.
Yes. Yeah. And it's never been easier than now with AI. Yeah, absolutely.
So much easier. So much easier. You can dictate, you can talk to it, and you can transcribe it in SOP with ChatGPT. You can do a lot of things. But not doing it is gonna enslave you to be a slave of your business instead of owner. We have to do this. Awesome. Absolutely. Now, people looking at your brand, looking at you, and thinking like, oh my God, this is cool. I want to be part of this 100 locations. I want to be part of this company. So before they start researching all the ways to contact, why don't we ask you, Emily, what's the best way for them to reach out to you? And what's the best way to contact you?
So I would say definitely if you're interested in joining our community, there's like, especially in the US market, we have so many opportunities available. If you go to modoyoga.com, you'll see our Own a Studio page on our website that has tons of details about what that looks like. You can find me personally on LinkedIn, Emily Drouillard. And yeah, I'd love to connect in either way and have conversations about anyone who wants to learn more about what Modo Yoga has to offer and bringing it to their local communities.
There we go. If you guys like what you hear and you want to be part of this awesome culture and also company, reach out to Emily. And for everybody listening, if you guys know other yoga business owners or fitness owners or health and wellness who are struggling and they need more input, click share and subscribe. Let them know about cool content that Top Rated Gym podcast bring to you. And on behalf of the community, Emily, thank you for being part of this podcast and sharing your wisdom with us today.
Truly a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.